Wanderstop is out today on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and it is quite the interesting experience, to say the least. On the surface, it tells the tale of a young woman looking for a new purpose in life. Alta just so happens to wander into a tea shop in the middle of an enchanted forest right when she needs it the most. She faces some challenges, both externally in the form of interesting customers, and internally from somewhere deep down inside. Her old life was suddenly ripped away from her and now haunts her every action and thought. Wanderstop is a non-traditional narrative game, and as such, this review, if you can even call it that, is going to be a little different than what I usually do. The video is split up into a spoiler-free section, which you're watching now, and then I'll get into some deeper story stuff with a warning beforehand, so you can stop watching if you want to play this one for yourself first. While gameplay is what you might expect from a cozy game about making tea, harvesting ingredients, decorating your shop, and serving customers, even these simple tasks have a twist to them. You have a handy journal to show you how to grow all sorts of alien plant hybrids, each fruit with its own weird flavor profile. When tidying up, Alta takes a ferocious approach to sweeping leaves. She is a former warrior, after all. And Boro, the bald guy who's taken us in, gives us a tour of his extravagant tea machine and then lets us have at it, giving us free rein to experiment and come up with all sorts of concoctions. All these little tasks add up to a very satisfying moment-to-moment gameplay loop, and the fact that they're not quite normal will definitely keep you on your toes the whole way through. And the customers, boy are they a fun group. I'm only showing the first few that popped up in the demo preview here, but trust me when I say they get even more interesting than this. But I do love Gerald the Knight, don't get me wrong. The game world itself is also a very curious place, and even though the whole thing is set in this small clearing, we do get a few glimpses of what it's like out there through some of the characters. My favorite lore tidbit I discovered was the existence of a game show called How Many Eggs Am I Thinking Of? I'll let Boro explain that one more to you in the game. And here we have Alta in the middle of it all. Unable to fight anymore, she very unwillingly winds up here, making tea and small talk, two tasks she's not very familiar with. You have the option to go along with whatever schemes customers try to cook up, nodding and smiling along, or you can take the sarcastic approach, but either way there's no getting out of here, not until Alta has taken the time to rest and heal. So if you came to this video with the question, is Wanderstop worth it? Should I play the game? My answer for you is yes. I'm not sure if the demo will still be up for you to try after launch, but it's worth looking into if you're still on the fence. And there's still a bunch more interesting story stuff that I don't want to spoil for you, but trust me, it's a roller coaster. One moment in particular made my insides twist up so much, I'll never forget it. Now's the point I suggest you head out if you plan on diving into the game for yourself. I'm not going to be spoiling the ending or anything, but there is one particular shift that happens in the game that might best be experienced for yourself the first time around. See you later! So the twist here is that this forest is weird. Alta seems to be controlling it somehow with all of her mixed up emotions and thoughts, and eventually this nice peaceful little glade we've come to know and love will shift. The different colors, times of day, and weather patterns all change as Alta begins to process her trauma, and with that comes new customers and a slightly new layout. Now there's an old lady who wants to be our rival, selling trinkets right outside our shop. A fierce fighter who recognizes Alta as top competition and challenges her to a sparring match. And my favorite, a myriad of identical-looking businessmen and the ethereal, interdimensional being fascinated by their every move. The gameplay also gets spiced up a little bit as things shift too. The tea shop now sells coffee, at the request of the under-caffeinated businessmen, of course. This has to be a nod to the Stanley Parable, which was developed by the writer and director of Wanderstop. As the drink orders get more complicated, with customers requesting more outlandish flavors and drinks that are literally layered on top of one another, Alta's own layers are peeled back, and we find out something she did in her past that was so traumatic she wiped it from her own brain. This moment hit me like a punch to the gut, and if you've gotten that far, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They did not hold back here. But the forest eventually reveals all, and won't stop until Alta comes to terms with what she's done and decides how she's gonna move on. Seeing her grow and heal, go through this whole process, is something I've never seen in a game before, and it's part of what makes Wanderstop stand out. The other part being all the wonderful character designs, animations, and dialogue. And the pluffins. Definitely the pluffins. The way that conflict is presented in this game is so natural and so real. Alta is clearly hurt and confused. Sometimes she acts out and is a jerk to the kind-hearted Boro who's just trying to help. I loved every minute of it, even the frustrating ones when she's being too stubborn for her own good. Taking this journey with Alta will stick with me for a long time, I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it too if you've finished Wanderstop. And I think I'm gonna go make a cup of tea now. Nice and cozy. Definitely no inner demons swimming around in there or anything.